Hey everyone, this is Big Deal Gaming and welcome to our first video guide. Does Reincarnation 8 seem out of reach? Are you looking to optimize your monkey build? Well, this guide will help you get an easier clear and hopefully make your life easier when making decisions during a run. In this video, we'll be showing you how to get a strong Q build for the new monkey character. Overall, I'm a big fan of this new character. He does feel a bit greedy in co-op as far as characters go, since you still want to have a strong gun even when doing a full skill build. Often, we try to have the skill build level the gun build's weapon to help them out. But with this build, you need to be a bit greedy with your gold since you need to level your own weapon. The best gun with this build is probably going to be the new weapon, Cloud Weaver. It works really well with skill builds as it can hit enemies the whole time as you are spamming out abilities. Another reason Cloud Weaver is amazing with this build is that it counts as a pistol, and that is the gun type we want. A pistol is helpful for our build because it allows our E to proc a free Q on enemies hit. This free Q also does some additional damage. When it comes to your weapon, try to just level one weapon as much as you can, and don't forget to etch it at level 5 if you are keeping a gun from earlier levels. Okay, let's start off by talking about the spiritual blessing that you're going to be looking for, and that is Essence Drainer. In the starting area, you're going to want to refresh the first spiritual remnant until you find the Essence Drainer spiritual blessing. It is the main spiritual blessing of this build, so if you fail to find it using all the soul essence you have, you want to just restart the run. If you restart the run before leaving the first room, you'll be refunded all of your soul essence, so there's no risk involved. Now, the one big tip with this spiritual blessing is that you will at a certain point need to level your weapon to get the biggest damage boost out of it. So even though you are a skill build, your guns will have some importance when it comes to dealing damage. The next spiritual blessing you're going to want to keep an eye out for is Skill Freak. This blessing was already amazing, but since the buff, it is even better. Having a 75% chance for your Q to do double damage and a 25% chance for it to do triple damage makes it an amazing choice for this build. You're going to be spamming Q as much as possible while weaving in some E's when you can. So the damage boost this offers makes it one of the best choices. In the A tier, we are going to start off with Overconsumption. This spiritual blessing was already a good choice before, but with the buff, it now gives 300% boost to damage and has become one of the best choices. It does have a big drawback of having to be picky with your scrolls to try to keep the most of your damage boost and the other buffs it gives. You will have to be more selective with the scrolls the higher the rarity if you want to keep the non-damage buffs it offers. But, to be fair, even if you take every scroll you see, you will end up with a decent damage boost. The next spiritual blessing is Dimensional Strike. It is an interesting spiritual blessing for this build as it is better suited for a gun build, but it does allow us to throw out our E more often while giving us up to 400% weapon damage boost, which makes our E hit even harder. This will also buff our Cloud Weaver since we are trying to keep them as active as possible. The spiritual blessing has a downside of losing all stacks on any instance of damage received. This downside can be negated with the scroll Lightless Shield, but enough hits will still reset all your stack progress. The last spiritual blessing in the A tier is Endless Assault. It is a great choice, giving us the capability to hold more Qs and to receive a free Q every 3 seconds. Now, this one's rank on the list should change based on how your run is going. If you are often running out of Qs and struggling to get some during boss fights, this one may be more important than the damage boost the previous two options offered. However, this character does have an Ascension that offers him infinite Qs, and this will drop Endless Assault down the list to a lower tier. Starting off the B tier, we have Jackpot. It is always a decent pick on any character as it allows you to have more gold to help yourself or other teammates. It does become a decent damage boost and moves up the tier list to be behind Overconsumption if you have the extravagant consumption scroll. Another thing to remember with this build is that money helps your damage, as the more weapon levels you have, the more damage your Q does. Ultimate Gambler should be a B tier choice in every build, as it is never a bad choice, but also will never make or break your build. It is a great choice if you want a smoother run in terms of Ascensions, however it is still RNG based. The last spiritual blessing in B tier is Field Proficiency. It technically works better with an E build, However, we are trying to throw out E's whenever we can between our Q spam. As previously mentioned, we are doing this because we are using a pistol to proc free Qs, and we are leveling our weapon, which in turn boosts our E damage as well. Now, we are going to be talking about some of the spiritual blessings that you most likely want to avoid, but that can offer some utility. The first spiritual blessing in the C tier is Weapon Mastery. It is an interesting choice, but in regards to this build, it does not offer that much. If you did want to take the spiritual blessing to try it out, I would recommend using a rifle as your secondary weapon, as it will offer your Cloud Weaver a 75% damage boost, or an injector to give it a 75% lucky shot increase. We may make a video in the future just talking about this blessing and the combinations we find interesting. The next two in the B tier are Steady Profit and Occult Booster, and they will just be giving you more chances at enhanced scrolls. This makes them both an okay choice, but nothing special. The final two in the C tier are Painkiller and Copycat. They will offer you a slight boost to survivability, but overall are not really worth taking. All the remaining options are in the D tier, and they are the spiritual blessings you want to try to avoid picking up as much as possible. Now, let's move on to the golden goblets, also known as Ascensions, you should be choosing. First and foremost with this character, you can never go wrong with any of the blue choices. They all help your Q out in a different way, and they're all worth taking. Shattered Soul is the first choice in the S tier, as it will give you the biggest damage boost. Also, if you manage to get Shattered Soul maxed out, it will have a 25% chance for you to deal double damage on your Qs. This Ascension is just the best damage boost you're going to get, so it is kind of a no-brainer pick. The second Ascension in S tier is Extra Shackle. This Ascension will benefit your Q in two different ways. The first is that every time you use your Q, you can now hit more enemies at once. The second benefit is that the less enemies hit by your Q, the harder you hit those enemies. This Ascension will make taking out bosses and elites go a lot faster. Constant Threat is the last Ascension in S tier. It is a very straightforward, but very strong Ascension. The more times you hit an enemy with your Q, the harder your Q will hit them. This makes killing bosses and elites a lot easier, as you will be scaling up in damage during the whole fight. Rotation Technique is the first Ascension in A tier. Now, this Ascension will move up in priority and usefulness based on how you feel you are doing with your Qs. If you are not killing fast enough and also running out of Qs all the time, then I would recommend grabbing this one before Constant Threat. It gives you a nice boost to quality of life, as when you hit enough enemies with a single Q, you can get back the use. You should try to pair this with Cloud Weaver, as it will generate grenades while you are using abilities. Strength Taker is the next Ascension in A tier and is the best defensive choice on the list. If you are struggling with survivability, this is the Ascension you want to grab. On top of the survivability, it does offer a decent boost to your damage. Concentrated Essence is an Ascension that will help your damage based on your spiritual blessing choice. If you went with our recommendation of Essence Drainer, then this Ascension will be an amazing choice. It will give you a 120% damage boost to your Q with just 1 point, while also increasing the duration of the weapon buff. If you, however, did not take Essence Drainer, then I would say this Ascension would belong in the C tier. Total Eradication is the final Ascension in A tier. This Ascension is pretty straightforward, as it is an execute. This makes it a great choice for killing bosses and elites, however, it is still not as important as some of the other choices we previously mentioned. Wombo Combo is going to be the first Ascension in B tier and is the worst of the blue Ascension choices. That being said, it is not a terrible choice, as a free E proc will proc a free Q because we are using a pistol. But overall, it is just not as great as some of the other options we have seen. Ancient Etching is the second Ascension in the B tier and can offer a decent damage boost to your Cloud Weaver and your E. It does come with a downside, however, of the free etching being random and can lead to some useless buffs to your weapon. Aura of Protection is the prime choice in the C tier if you have nothing better, as it offers a decent defensive and a boost to your shield. However, if you are surviving most fights just fine, then feel free to use some of the other Ascensions to give your E a little more of a kick. That being said, overall, the rest of the C and D tier choices are very lackluster and should be avoided if possible. Even though we technically do some E damage, most of your time should be spent spamming Q. And with that, you are now equipped with a strategy to build a Q-focused monkey and get some easy R8 clears. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you think we're making any mistakes in the build, if you had a successful run with the build, or if you have a guide request, please leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to keep an eye out for more guides from us in the future. Till next time, this has been a Big Deal Guide video. Good luck and take care.